Microsoft Excel gives you the option to use easy, dashboard-like buttons called slicers to filter your pivot table. Besides being able to quickly filter data, slicers also show you what data is currently being filtered, which makes it easy to understand exactly what's going on in your pivot table. Whether you've used pivot tables for a long time or are brand new to pivot tables, slicers are a huge improvement and one of my favorite features. So let's create slicers for this pivot table. Here I have a pivot table that shows the sum of extended price for each salesperson that's sold to a particular company in each country. So to begin, I want to first click anywhere inside the pivot table, and then in the Pivot Table Tools Analyze tab of the ribbon, click Insert Slicer in the filter group. This brings up my Insert Slicers dialog box, and I'm going to choose which fields I want to create a slicer for. I'll choose company name, country, and product name. And I'm going to choose product name just to demonstrate that you can use fields that aren't even in your pivot table. I'll go ahead and click on OK. And 3 slicers appear on the worksheet. Now, they are graphical objects, so they can be moved anywhere. And I will move them off to the side so we can still see the information in the pivot table. And with the slicer selected, you can enlarge them, you can change the style or even the number of columns that you see displayed. And all of these customizations can be changed through the Slicer Tools Options tab that now appears in the ribbon because I have a slicer selected. Okay, let me demonstrate how great slicers are and why I like them so much. Let's say that I wanted to see all of the sales for Germany. Using my slicers, I would go to the country slicer and scroll down because it's in alphabetical order until I found Germany. And all I have to do is just left click with my mouse, and you'll notice that the pivot table has now updated. These are just German sales. Take a look at A4. It says Germany. Not only that, you can also tell which companies aren't in Germany. And I can tell by looking at the company name slicer. If I scroll down a bit, notice how some of the countries are in a darker blue and some of the countries are in a lighter blue, like around the horn. So because it's a little bit faded out, I know that this company doesn't fit the criteria that I chose in the country field or the country slicer. See how that works? All right. Now, if you wanted to, and I'll scroll back up with company name, if you wanted to turn off a slicer or clear a filter, in the country slicer, it's the little funnel with a red X. You just give that a click, and now you're seeing all of your information again. So let's try this. Now I want to see who in Germany bought aniseed syrup. So back to my country slicer, I'm going to scroll down a bit until I see Germany and left click on that. Now I'm again back to all the Germany sales, and under product name I'll go ahead and click aniseed syrup. Again, it's a left click. So just 3 companies I can see bought that aniseed syrup in Germany. But let's say that I wanted to know who in Germany and who in Denmark bought aniseed syrup. If I click on Denmark under country, it'll just switch to Denmark. It won't show me both unless I hold down the Control key. So with my finger, I'll hold down the Control key and then I'll left click on Germany. And now I'm seeing both Denmark and Germany sales for aniseed syrup. And again, if I want to clear any of those filters, I can click on the little clear filter button or Alt-C on my keyboard. And I'll go ahead and clear both of those right now. So by now you might be getting a good sense on how easy it is to use slicers. Whether again you've used pivot tables for a long time or especially if you're brand new to pivot tables, it's much easier to use slicers than it is to use the filters. And one reason being is because, like I demonstrated here, we can also filter on product name, which right now is not even a field that's inside of our pivot table. And we can also see what it is that we're filtering by just by taking a look over at our slicers. Now, something else that I like to do with my slicers is just change the styling a little bit. Right now, they're all in the Office blue theme, and I just want to make it a little bit easier to read, so I'm just going to change the colors of two of them really quick. Since I already have company name selected, I'll go ahead and in my options window, maybe change that to orange, and I'll take country. And again, under my slicer styles, maybe I'll make that a little bit darker red. So now those two stand out a little bit versus having all three of them the same color. Also, company name and product name are longer lists, and I can tell just by looking at how small my little scroll button is. So what I'm going to do for product name, since I have that selected, is I will change this to see how it looks as a 2-column slicer as opposed to 1. So under columns, I'll change that to 2 and hit Enter on my keyboard. And notice there that we do have 2 columns now, so we have a lot less to scroll through. And you can't exactly see all of the names, but you can always make it a little bit bigger by using the resize handles along the side or by using the height and width at the top of the screen.